Hey friends, it's Mr. Walker here. Thank you for joining me for a math lesson with Mr. Walker. I know what you're thinking. Where's Mrs. Walker? She's totally awesome. I don't want this Mr. Walker guy. What's going on here? And you know what? You're right. Mrs. Walker is really awesome, which is why she's busy getting ready for another award ceremony that she's been invited to for being a super awesome teacher. So she's getting all her stuff ready and getting her speech prepped and all that kind of stuff. So I'm filling in for her today, and I'll do my best I can to keep up to her level of awesomeness. So we'll see what we can do. But I was actually hoping you guys would help me out with something today, because in addition to her having this award ceremony, I have to be there, be supportive, and all that kind of stuff, right? And she threw these clothes at me, and she told me I gotta get dressed up and get all fancy. And as you can tell from my t-shirt and jeans here, I'm not the fanciest guy in the world, right? So I have a tie here that I gotta put on, and some like fancy looking shirt, and like a jacket, and all this kind of stuff. So I was trying to figure out the right way to put things on, and I mean, I know the tie is important, so maybe I gotta put the tie on first, I'm thinking, right? And then this thing is here, this jacket, right? Maybe put this on. Okay, so that's looking good so far, I guess. And then I guess this shirt has to go over the top here, like so. Maybe that's not feeling quite right. So maybe it's the tie, then the shirt, then I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss already here. This is a lot of work. So let's do this. Let's take a break. Let's do some math instead. Kind of de-stress a little bit, right? Math is fun. Get us thinking some math, and then maybe we can come back at the end and revisit this and see if you guys can help me get dressed for this award ceremony for Mrs. Walker. So we're gonna do some math. So you don't need much today. Maybe just something to write on, something to write with, so you can follow along with me. And once you have those things gathered up, pause the video if you need to. Get those things. Once you have them gathered up, go ahead and click play again, and we'll start going. And we'll practice a little bit of math together. All right, guys. So let's start by taking a look at a word problem here. Okay, I have a word problem up here, and it says Mr. Walker has 2 cartons with 6 eggs in each carton. Okay, 2 cartons with 6 eggs in each carton. And as I open the carton, right, I drop 2 eggs. It's happened to all of us before, right? It's a bummer. It's all right. Don't cry over spilled eggs, as they say. So how many unbroken eggs does Mr. Walker have left? So I have these 2 cartons, 6 eggs in each carton. Let's go ahead and underline some of this important information here. So again, we had 2 cartons and 6 eggs in each carton, right? Okay, I got a feeling that's probably going to be important. And as I open it, I dropped 2 eggs. It means like I lost 2 eggs, right? So how many unbroken eggs does Mr. Walker have left? Well, if I was going to think about this, first of all, I got to find out how many eggs I was starting with, right? So I was starting with 2 cartons, 6 eggs in each carton. Well, I could do multiplication to help me find that, right? So I have 2 cartons times 6. 2 times 6, there's 6 eggs in each carton. I'm going to do that 2 times. That's going to give me a total of 12. So I started out with 12 eggs. That's awesome. Then I dropped 2 of them. Bummer, right? So I had those 12 eggs. I dropped 2 of them. So now that's going to leave me with 10 eggs. Okay? So I have 10 eggs left to make omelets or pancakes or whatever it is I'm making. And anyway, I got 10 eggs left. So that's cool. All right, so in this problem here, we're dealing with 2 equations, right? 2 equations basically. All right, 2 times 6 and then 12 minus 2. So I'm gonna draw a picture here to help me kind of illustrate this a little bit. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's like the 1 carton of eggs, right? And if I put 6 more there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 2 cartons of 6 eggs. So it's easy enough, all right? And then I'm gonna just cross out 2 of these because those will represent the 2 that I dropped, right? So in this picture, in this illustration, I was able to kind of sum up all the steps I took into like one picture, right? So how do you think, or do you think there's a way that we can include all of this information here, these 2 equations or this illustration that I drew? Is there a way that we can combine this into one like equation altogether, like one sentence, one number sentence equation that explains what happened here? Think about that for a second. Pause the video, think about it. Can you write this in one equation, and what might that look like? Awesome, guys. There's some good thinking out there. So let's kind of think of it this way. What if I wrote something like 2 times 6 minus 2 equals 10, right? Those are the steps I followed when I was solving this problem. I did 2 times 6 to get to 12, and then I subtracted 2, and that gave me 10, right? And that my picture illustrates that as well up there. So let's go ahead and check to make sure that this equation actually works, what we wrote actually works. Now, do you think I need to multiply first or subtract first, or do you think it matters? Interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna, since multiplication is written first, and that's what we did first the first time, I think I'm gonna multiply first. All right. So I would do 2 times 6 to get 12, and then 12 minus 2 would give me 10. Awesome. Do you think the order matters, though? Do you think it matters if I do subtraction first? Well, let's take a look and see. If I did 6 minus 2, well, that would give me 8. So then I would have my 2 times 8, which would give me 16. Interesting. A little bit different of an answer this time. So I guess it really kind of does matter what order that we do steps in a problem in if we want to get the correct answer, right? And the cool thing is we can use certain symbols to help us determine what it is we need to do first in certain equations that you need to do in a certain order. And we can use something that's called parentheses. Parentheses. Now, you've probably heard that before. You've probably seen it a lot more in like reading and writing and things like that, but we can use parentheses in math too, which is pretty cool. So parentheses are symbols that we use to denote in math, to show in math what steps need to be completed first, okay? So if I were to use parentheses in this problem, for example, I'm going to want to put them around the 2 and the 6, and that's going to tell everybody, hey, look, you got to multiply these two numbers first, and then you could do whatever's next, okay? So in this case, I want to multiply first to get that 12, and then subtract the 2, and that will give me 10, which is the correct answer. If I were to do the subtraction first, I'm not going to get the right answer. So that's why we need those parentheses to help us out with that. All right, let's take a look at these two equations real quick. We have 4 plus 2 equals 6, and then 6 times 6 equals 36. So we have these two equations, and if we wanted to, we could combine them into one equation, but we're going to want to make sure that we follow the steps in the right order in order to get the right answer, right? So if I were going to combine these, I could say 4 plus 2 times 6, because 4 plus 2 would give me 6, and then 6 times 6 would give me 36, right? But I have to make sure I do this in the right order, because if I don't, if I do 2 times 6 first, I'm going to get 12. 2 times 6 is 12, across that out, plus the 4, 12 plus 4, that's going to give me 16. So that's not going to be the right answer. My answer I need is 36. So again, if I write this equation like this, like 4 times 2, or 4 plus 2 to get 6, and then 6 times 6 to get 36, I want to make sure that I do that 4 plus 2 first, and then multiply it by 6. So I'm going to take those parentheses and put them around the 4 plus 2. That's going to tell me 4 plus 2 first, get 6, then multiply that by 6 to get 36. Okay? Parentheses really help out in that order, right? The order of operations is what we call it, and we'll get to that as we go further into 3rd grade and even into 4th grade. All right, so let's take a look at just one more example real quick, and we have this one of 25 minus 10 divided by 5. It's going to equal 3. So if we're looking at this one already has parentheses in it, which is great. So that means I'm going to do the subtraction first. The 25 minus 10, we're going to do that first. So 25 minus 10, well, that's going to give us 15. And 15 divided by 5, well, it's going to give us 3. All right, so that's easy enough, but what would happen if we moved those parentheses? So let's see. I'm going to take these parentheses out. I'm going to fix my 0. Then I'm going to put them here. Are we still going to get 3? I mean, the numbers didn't change. My symbols didn't change. Nothing changed. Should I still get 3? Go ahead, pause the video. Think about that for a second. Let me know, what do you think? Am I still going to get 3 as my answer if I just move the parentheses around and leave everything else the same? You might think so, but no, it's not going to be the same answer because I'm not following the steps in the same way. So let's take a look. Let's work it out real quick and see what we get. If I take 10 divided by 5, 10 divided by 5 is going to give me 2. Okay, so this part's done. So now I just have 25 minus 2. 25 minus 2, that's 23. That's not the same answer, right? So it's not going to work out the same if I don't have the parentheses in the right spot that they need to, in whatever step I need to do first, okay? All right, so what I'm starting to realize is that in math and even in real life, obviously, there's steps that you have to follow. There's things that you have to do first. And in math, what's nice is when we're looking at equations that have more than one operation in them, parentheses are really going to tell us what it is we need to do first, okay? What we need to do first, and then be able to move on to the next steps. Now, if I had those same parentheses around my jacket and tie and shirt, that might help me get dressed a little bit. So I'm going to go search on YouTube and maybe see if I can find some ways on how to get dressed and look like a proper gentleman. But I want you guys to keep practicing with using parentheses in math and distinguishing how the parentheses are going to help us determine what we need to do first in a math problem and where we need to put the parentheses if we're writing an equation and we want things to be done in a certain order. So thank you guys for playing along with me today. Thank you for helping me with my equations and sort of helping me get dressed. I'm going to figure out the rest of this. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.